Hi ladies, Jackie Sabrin here. Yay! I'm so excited to be making this live Facebook broadcast for you because I want to talk to you about first date conversations that lead to second dates. So first date conversations that lead to second dates. And so before I do that, I wanted to share something really important with you. And I realize that, I haven't really shared this before. And there's a reason why I haven't shared it before. I didn't really think that it would serve you. And then I recently heard some ladies on Facebook talking about, hi ladies, welcome. Hi, it's Dina, right? Did I get that right? Hi Jean, nice to see you here. So basically I was watching a live broadcast. Hi Holly. Nice to see you. I was watching a live broadcast about a couple of business coaches actually talking about how she met her husband in 90 days, and the other one was talking about this, and they were talking about how they met their husbands and their marriages. And hi Teresa, nice to see you. And so I realized that I never really share how I really met Michael. There's a little part of it that I held back because I thought that if I shared the whole story, that it would discourage women, to be honest, okay? But that was a mistake that I made, and I want to rectify that right now because I want to be completely honest. And the thing is that I went online on a Thursday night, and by Monday night, I went out with Michael, and I didn't go out with anybody else. That's my big news I want to tell you. And I didn't want to tell everybody that because I didn't want you to feel discouraged, like, oh my gosh, it's easy for her. She met him on the first night, or any kind of using that as an excuse to letting you off the hook so that you won't do what it takes to meet your guy. But here's why I wanted to share this with you today is because it can happen that fast. And these women that were sharing that they met their husband within 90 days, that they had set an intention, they did what they needed to do, and then within 90 days they had met this man and they ended up marrying him. And so for me, when I launched my profile on Thursday, I was really prepared. I had already done so much back work to get myself in a place, and I'm going to share some of that with you today on this first date conversation, so that I didn't have to spend very much time online. So when I launched my profile on a Thursday night, I received, several messages, and I had sent a few out. By Saturday morning, I received several emails. One of them I read. It was from Michael. We talked on Sunday night, and Monday night we had our first date. And in that first date, he said he fell in love with me the minute that he saw me and was talking to me, and that he was going to make me his. So he's going to scoop me up. And so I never really told anybody that because I didn't want women to feel discouraged, but I realized there's a mistake that I made in doing that and holding back, because I want you to know that love happens fast. And a lot of the women in my private group are actually meeting men right away and getting into relationships. And it's crazy the amount of time that it really doesn't have to take long. And it's kind of really inspiring me, in fact, how quickly women are getting into relationships and getting engaged and married. And I think it's because of the time that we live in. It's because we're letting go of all these limiting beliefs and cultural biases about how long it should take and what we should do, and just getting rid of all that junk, clearing it all out so that you can really step into what you want to do and start living your life according to your set of rules that you feel are ethical and fair, not what anybody else feels is ethical and fair. And that's one of the things that I teach in my programs, to have a set of adult permission rules. And so one of my clients, I want to share this with you. I'm so inspired. She went on a vacation for a month, and in the line on the way home, there was a man standing behind her. And because she's been doing the work on herself and following my coaching, she turned around and said to this man who was standing behind her in the baggage claim line on the way home from having spent a month overseas, and she turns to him and says, "So how's your day going?" Which is what I always say to all of you to say. How's your day going? Simple as that. Just how's your day going? And he said, great, it's going good and it's going well. And they started to talk, and he asked her for a cup of coffee, and they discovered they each had a couple hours layover. So they proceeded to have a cup of coffee. And long story short, she's moving to his country to have a whole life with him. He's coming here for 3 weeks. And this just happened last week. It happens that fast. She's ready, he's ready, and they're going to make a life for it, and they're going to go for it. So everything is just divine timing. It's all about the law of attraction. But she was open. She was turned around, said the thing that she needed to say. He responded to her. She was open and receiving. And he said that he'd been waiting for her for the last 10 years. So just imagine if you don't say to the man standing in line at Starbucks, or the man standing in line at Home Depot or Walmart or any kind of store that you're at, and you don't turn and say, how's your day going so far? What you could be missing out on. Those seem to be the magic words. So I wanted to just share with you all this exciting news, one of my clients and my own experience on, love happening fast. But before that happened to me, I want to tell you that it wasn't always like that. I had been online a couple years before that, and I had a terrible time online. I was attracting a bunch of unsavory fellows and I was trying to, talk to them and try to like, I got entangled in all these dysfunctional conversations, and I know you can relate to that. You start off and they say something and you're trying to like raise the bar in the conversation, and it starts to go sideways, and it's just like spoils everything. And so I kept butting my head up against the wall, dating men that were not on my level, dating beneath me, right? I did a video on that, dating beneath me, and just behaving badly, actually. Getting into an argument with a man on a date because I had talked to the men that were sitting next to us at another table. It was a lovely gay couple. They were having a very nice time. They were in La Jolla for some boating event. And when my first date went up to go to the bathroom, I turned to them, and they were very friendly and talking to these fellows, and just asked them what they were here for. And because I'm very friendly, and they were here for this boat show, and I recommended a couple more restaurants. Well, when my date came back and saw that I was talking to these men, they were clearly a couple, clearly together. He became very upset and started to say things to me like he didn't feel that was appropriate, and that I was being disrespectful to him. And I was just like, my mouth, I had to like, my chin dropped. And I thought, what the heck is he talking about? And so I got into a kind of a heated discussion with this man on my date. So why I'm telling you this, it's because I wasn't always, like I am now. I had to do work around myself. I had to look at my behavior, and not in a bad way that there was anything wrong with me, but recognizing that if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to keep getting the same result, and it's not resulting in. And so I was very discouraged, and I realized that I had to make some changes. And so I went offline and did a lot of work on myself and the work that I teach. And that's why I have so much experience, is I made all those mistakes. And when I relaunched my profile, I was ready. I was ready for love. I cleared out all my emotional blocks. I was open. I wasn't judging, and I wasn't so picky. That's another thing that I notice with women right now. Hi, Terry. I just want to say hi to the ladies that are here. And is that sometimes we can get caught up in our ideal man list, and it's like we have to have, from here to here, everything has to be exactly this way. And I was, in fact, talking to a woman yesterday, and she had her list. She had, he has to be 6'1" at least. He has to have a full head of hair. And she went on and on and on about all these attributes. And I'm like, but what about the heart? What about here? What is it you really want? But she really was so stuck on having this external pieces show up, and hey, there is nothing wrong with that. We all love a good-looking man with a full head of hair, but what are we really looking for internally, and what do we really want, and how do we want to be perceived, and how do we want to be treated, and what kind of life do you want to live? And so you really want to be thinking about in terms of where you see yourself in 5 years. Does it really matter if your husband has a bald spot or not? let's get real. It's like my hair is thinning too. I mean, we're all aging, okay? We're all getting older, and it's really important to look at what it is the most important thing to you when it comes to your ideal man list, like the qualities that you want. And I would go for quality over quantity. Like, I don't, the thing about the looks and all that, that's great. Of course, you want someone that takes care of themselves, but you really want to look at how a man's treating you and how he treats other people, right? And how he spends his time and what kind of dedication does he have to his family and what kind of standing does he have in his community? And, you know, is he a hard worker, and is he going to be inspired to take care of you? I mean, those are all things that I think are hold much more merit than anything externally. And so I really want you to really revisit your list and make sure you're coming from a place that's, because you're going to get what you ask for, right? You're going to get what you're a match for. If you want all the superficial things, which is great, then that's fine. You can get those, and those are all valid, but what's behind that? And if you don't have anything that's more anchored to something real, something authentic, that will sustain you in the relationship, those things can fall away, because they're just that. They're things, right? They're things, and they're the things that you want and need the most are not things at all. They're not tangible things. You need love, you need acceptance, you need support and encouragement, you need understanding, you need respect, and you need a partner who sees your value because you do. Those are things you need. The rest of this stuff is just wants. So I'm asking you to go through your list and make your list of wants and your list of needs, because the needs are the most important thing. And then work on becoming those needs, and then you'll be a match to having that. And then everything else is just the icing on the cake. One thing that so I want to dovetail this conversation. Hi, Lynn. Yeah, I love it. Shiny apples can be rotten on the inside. It's what on the inside that counts. Well, so much wisdom right there, Lynn. And Lynn's having a juicy relationship with her wonderful boyfriend right now. I'm so happy for you, Lynn. And so I wanted you to, yeah, you're right on, Lynn, with that. Yeah, being too picky, Terry, can really sabotage you, because it's coming from it's an unrealistic expectation that we put on men. And you want to make sure that whatever expectations you have, that you actually can offer those things. You're a match for those things. So, you know, I've talked about this before, and I don't want to get off on a tangent here because I really want to talk about first date conversations. So I won't get off on a tangent. Let me go right into that. And so going back to my first date with Michael, that first date. So a lot of the things that happened on that first date set the stage for why he continued to pursue me. And so some of the successful things that you can do on a first date, a lot of it's a part of how the conversation goes. And one of the thing you want to be mindful of is of course showing up feeling really confidently, but you know, looking at what he's talking about and paying attention to what he's sharing, so that you can feed back what you're hearing. A lot of times when we listen, we're actually waiting for our turn to talk instead of actually really listening to what that person's saying. And then we might even forget what they're saying because we're forming a really clever response, but really in that process of forming our response, we're thinking about it. And when we're thinking about it, we're not really listening. And so we can lose track of what they're saying. And when you do that, I know we've all done that, the other person on the other end of it can tell that you're not really paying attention. And they start to take notes like, she's not paying attention, or she's not interested. I would say men would think that you're not interested more than anything. Men are very sensitive to being rejected, and they're sensitive and need encouragement from you, especially middle-aged men and older. And so lost my train of thought for a minute. Okay, there we go. I got it back. And so see, there it goes. I was thinking what to say. And so when you're talking to a man, it's really good to listen closely to what he's saying, because then you can talk about what's important to him. So it's not about that you don't want to talk about what's important to you. You'll have your opportunity, but it's about when the masculine feminine energy is all about receiving. And so it's allowing that man to kind of take center stage and maybe even let him get a little puffed up about his work and about what he's proud of and his achievements and accomplishments. And sometimes powerful women that have achieved a lot, maybe you're very accomplished, have a hard time with this, struggle with this, because they want their spot, in the limelight as well. But the thing that happens if you do that, what it is, you miss out a wonderful opportunity to really connect with him in a more feminine way. And so, because why a man's telling you all these great things about himself, it's not because he's really boasting. It's because he's trying to impress you. He wants you to know how successful he is, because he wants you to know that if he wanted to, he could take care of you. He could take care of you. He could be there for you. He could provide for you. He could protect you, because look at all these things he's done in his life. That's why he's telling you that. So he's wanting to show you, prove to you that he's worthwhile. That's why men come to you with kind of a resume type of conversation, because they're wanting to impress you for a reason, because they want to let you know that you can depend on them. And so make sure you receive that really well and admire what they're sharing with you. And all of this is simply because you want to be in a relationship. So I'm not teaching everybody just, be passive, be meek, just so you can get into a relationship. No, you really do want to be in a relationship. Being in a relationship is the most satisfying, funnest, most rewarding, fulfilling thing that I'm doing in my life right now. Michael makes my life better. He supports me. He's there when I get home. We can make plans for the weekends, for the future. We can overlap our families and combine them and have a bigger inner circle. We're going to witness each other until the very end. Like, having that kind of security feels really good. And I just don't know a better way to spend my time is with him. And so I'm really not talking about how to get a man. It's like how to have an amazing life with a man. And it starts on this first date. And so really paying attention to what he's sharing with you, because he's trying to impress you. And so then asking him questions about what it is that he's sharing, because once you dive into those topics deeper, he's going to make a connection that you are in that with him. So, for example, say he's sharing about maybe he has a project at work and he's opening up a bunch of model homes because he's a builder and he has all these model homes. And so what you would want to do is be like, wow, that's so interesting. So are you a part of the design phase, or how does that work when you say you're opening model homes? So I would ask him more questions about that, and then ask him about, he says, yeah, I'm part of the design. Be like, wow, I would love to see that. So what you did is you just got yourself invited on a second date, even though you didn't, you say, I would love to see that, but he heard that. And so now he knows that you will first agree to a second date, and he can even take you to those model homes and show you. So now he sees you as a part of his life. So saying that you would like to see that, or that would be great to see, or wow, you'd like to try that. And maybe a man's talking about music. Maybe he's like, oh, there's this great band coming. I've always wanted to see them. Then you could say, wow, that'd be really fun to do that with you. Even on a first date, you can say that. And I recommend that you do that, because he's just thinking, wow, I could ask her and she would go with me. And so you kind of got yourself on a second date. So make sure if they talk about something that sounds interesting to you, invite yourself along by the way that I just suggested how to do it. Like, wow, I'd really like to see those model homes. I bet they look amazing. Or wow, that would be fun. We should go together. And so it's not like you're really being serious, like we should go together, but you're making this fun in the moment suggestion. And he's like, we should. And then it's like you're just on a roll. You're connecting. You guys like the same things. He's starting to see you as a part of at least that week. And you're more likely to stay in touch and get a second date. So that's why you want to pay really close attention to what he's sharing, because as soon as he makes that connection that you're interested in it, he starts to see you as somebody who he could see a future with you. And so another great thing about first date conversations that can lead to a second date is storytelling. Stories are great because it takes a lot of pressure off the grand inquisition of all the questions that we tend to fall back into asking, and that are really easy traps to get into because they can lead to discussions about our previous relationships, which you want to stay away from. from. You want to steer the conversation away from those for the most part, because what happens is they're really great topics and you can find yourself talking about them for hours because you have a lot to say, right? You can get stuck in the storylines about your past really easy because they're really interesting. You were hurt or he did this, and it's really easy for the man across from you to empathize with you. But the mistake you can make is you're mistaking his empathy for interest. He's not interested in hearing about another man. I promise you, no man wants to hear about another man. Do not talk about your ex in any way. You can, one sentence. Yeah, I've been divorced for 8 years. He lives in Utah. That's it. Boom. That's all you would ever say about another man. Men are very territorial. They don't want to hear about it. And so, but you might mistake him saying, oh, okay, him being compassionate, and then you start running away with it. Next thing you notice you're talking about your ex-husband, your ex-boyfriend, or whatever, or the last date you had. So stay away from those topics. You don't really have to reveal any of that. You can just give them the bullets. And so storytelling is really great. I love storytelling because, hi, Sandy, nice to see you. Because, and hi, Kimberly. So storytelling is great because it reveals a lot about your lifestyle. And so you want to have your signature story prepared when you go on your first dates, because it gives the man an idea of what you like to do and what it would take to make you happy. So I wouldn't make it completely outlandish and like, oh, I went to Europe and stayed at, on the Spanish Steps in the most exquisite hotel. And, I wouldn't go overboard because he might look at you and think, that's how much is that going to cost me? Because men look at you and they look at your clothes and your shoes and how you're dressed, and they're smart. They're taking it all in, and they're doing a little inventory on what you're wearing, and they're like, okay, she's got a nice handbag and she's dressed really well, so she's going to cost this much money. So tell your stories that are more about something that's really down to earth and something that has meaning, but something that shows your personality. And so the story that I like to tell when I was dating was my trip to where did I go? South America. So I went to a little town where they had this surf spot. Then the surf is a famous surf spot in El Salvador. They went on for it seems like 2 miles, and it was really hard to catch this wave. It was a big pitching wave, and I really wanted to go to El Salvador to surf that wave. And so I did take this trip. Anyways, long story short, my story was all about the trip, the wave, catching the wave, and it's a fun story. But what it tells about me and what I wanted him to hear was that I'm adventurous, that I'd like to take risks, that I'm athletic, and that I'm confident and a little bit independent, and I like to meet new people. I'm okay with being out of my comfort zone. I'm okay with going to third world country where I don't speak the language. I like to try new things. I'm open-minded. So that's what I was wanting to convey, not that I need to be taken on a vacation. So just, if it's you and you make the most amazing, I've said this before, red sauce because you grow your own tomatoes, I would get into details about that. And here's why these signature stories are really valuable. You get passionate when you talk. You get all excited. And a man loves to watch your eyes sparkle and for you to get excited. He actually is, I'd say turned on by that. Who isn't turned on by somebody who's really passionate and excited? It's contagious. That enthusiasm, it spills over. And pretty soon he's like smiling and he's loving the energy that you're putting out. He's really excited about your vibe and how you're showing up. And maybe he never wants to surf and he's never going to go to South America to surf, but that's not the point. The point is that you're passionate, you followed your dream, you went and did something for yourself that you love to do, and he likes that about you. He likes the fact that you're that free spirit. And so that would be a connect, and maybe that wouldn't be a connect for some men. But so don't be afraid to share your signature story. Start thinking about what that is and have that ready, because that's a really good connection that you can bond over. And then also ask him to share a story about one of his places that he traveled to, or something, a memorable time. It could be something memorable from his childhood. That's always a great way to bond with the man, learning something about them that, that they probably just share with their friends. And so all these things are creating a bond in these conversations. So the big part about this is not judging, right? Men don't want to be judged as much as you don't want to be judged. So we're not judging anything they're sharing. You might be taking notes that it's not for you, whatever he's sharing, but you want to get invited on a second date on every first date. I would like to challenge you to make sure, hi Mimi, hi Sandra. I want to make sure that you're getting asked out on second dates on every first date. Not because I want you to go on every second date, but because I want you to feel what that feels like, that having that kind of success under your belt. Feels good. You know that you made a connection. In fact, I used to have this little challenge that I'd like them just to fall in love with me on a first date, because then you really know you got them. You got them. You got them where you want them, basically, and that's that they really respect, admire you, see a future with you, want to get to know you, and all of that. So how you do that is create an emotional connection with them right away, and that's by sharing these stories and being a good listener. And I wrote down some notes. Another thing that's really great about first date conversations is a big one. I call them the 3 A's, is affection. It's really important to be affectionate on the first date. And I'm not talking about making out or anything sexual, but men love affection. They really do. And they want to be touched, and so do we, right? So it's really important, if you like him, and only if you like him, that you reach forward and go ahead and put your hand on his forearm. So I hope you can see this. I'm wearing a black top. So it's you touching his forearm. You can go, wow, that's really interesting, like that. So you're not moving up his arm, but you can also like pat him on the shoulder. So you reach forward and you're like, wow, that's really, really cool. Like you're giving him an attaboy. So, putting your hand right here and going, wow, that's cool. The warm. So it's warmth. You're giving out some warmth to him. He wants to feel your warmth as a woman, not your heat as a woman, but your warmth. And so reaching out and touching him, I wouldn't put your hand over his. That's very intimate. That's too intimate of a gesture. But putting your hand on his forearm is different. It's a reassuring. It's like a warmth. It's like something you would do to a friend, and then touching his shoulder. And then what else can you do? As you're going to leave, giving him a little hug, a nice little hug. And especially if you had a good time, you can stay a little longer in that hug so that he feels your warmth. And then that's really going to go over well. Men love affectionate women, but making sure you have clear boundaries, that it's not a sexual gesture. And the other one is admiration, which kind of was a part of the first one. Admiring something that he's shared with you, and that goes along with the affection and the appreciation. And in those first conversations you're having about his life, anything he's sharing you about his work, so admiring him for what he's done, because men love to be acknowledged, because they work really hard to provide for women. I mean, most men are working hard to provide for a family, or they already have provided for a family, so they're already hardwired to have that impulse to take care of a woman. So this creates, your job is to inspire them to want to do it. You don't want to make them do it. You want to inspire them to do it, so you can just sit back and receive what they're offering. Hi, Gina. Hi, nice to see you. Yeah, affection is just really sweet. And so on my first date with Michael, I'm going to end the call with this, is after we ate dinner, so we started off with the drink, and then which is what I recommend, a glass of wine, cup of coffee, whatever your jam is. And then, because you don't want to get stuck in a dinner if you don't, if you're not resonating with him. So then after we had our drink, he's like, would you like to get something to eat? And I'm like, I would love to, because I did want to. I liked Michael. I wanted to keep it going. So if he asks you for the next step, you say, yes, absolutely. And so then we ordered some food and we had dinner, and we were having a really wonderful time. The chemistry was there, great conversation, laughing and sharing. And at the end of dinner, he came over, and so he was sitting across from me. He came over and sat next to me. Okay, and that's when affection started. So actually the first thing he did is put his hand on my leg. And so I took his hand off my leg and put it back on his leg, and I said, slow down, cowboy. And I laughed. So it wasn't cutting him off at his knees, but it was like a boundary. But when I picked his hand up and put it over on his leg, it was very sweet, and there was the affection there. And we were smiling because there was that affection and attraction, but there was a boundary. And so it's little things like that. If you're resonating, you're liking him, definitely hold a boundary because you want him to want more. You don't want to give it all to him on the first date. And then the key to getting on the second date was he said, I'd like to do it again. I said, me too. I had a great time. I thanked him, of course, showed appreciation, let him know at the end of the date that I would like to see him again so that he knew he would get a yes to a second date. And then he asked me out on a second date, and I said, I wish I could, but I'm busy. I said that because I wanted him to, feel that I wasn't so available, because men want to win. They want to win with you. So it's not a game, but I actually wasn't available. I had plans to go see a friend up in LA, and I wasn't going to cancel my plans to go out with this amazing guy I met. In fact, I was like, this is a part of keeping the tension on. So I said, I can't, I have plans. And he said, well, when can I see you? So then he was like, when can I see you? I said, well, I'm really busy this weekend. And I really was busy. And I said, after my son's birthday's on Friday, after our birthday dinner, maybe we can meet for a drink. It'll be around 8:45. And so we agreed to meet at 8:45 Friday night. That's all the time that I had. Though by the time that Friday rolled around, he was really looking forward to seeing me. And so that's how I kept the tension on. He texted me a little bit during the week, and we stayed in touch. And so don't be so available right after, drag it out a little bit, especially if you know that connection's there, because then they're going to be thinking about you, wanting to see you. And they also know that you're busy, and you're not, they're not your only option, or you're not their only option. In other words, you have other men that are pursuing you. At least they perceive that. And that's just kind of a part of the way dating works. If a man thinks you're too available and you're like, yeah, I'm free tomorrow night, it's going to be like, okay, well, she's probably saying this to other men, or why is she free the other night? Why is she so free? And it makes you seem like you're easy to get. You're easy to attain, and your value goes down, your stock. So you want to keep your stock up by not being as available. So it's not a game, but it certainly is a strategy, and it's a formula for success, and it works. And you have to just know how the male mind works, because it's not, again, I really want to stress in closing that it's really not a game, but men do want to win with you. They like challenges. They want to feel like they won out over all the other men, and they have something really special. And a woman that knows her worth and knows that she's so special, she's got her life going, and she's not going to just drop everything because she had a first great date. And I don't recommend that you do that. So again, it's not a game, but I did have a life, and I had plans. And so I fit him into those. And then he was really excited to see me on Friday night. And the rest is history, as we say, because we're happily married now. Anyways, ladies, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, love the cowboy. And I'm so happy you're here, ladies. And for those of you who haven't heard about my upcoming program, I'm really excited to be launching another round of my Engaged at Any Age VIP program. And I really want you to take a look at the link in the box below, because I'm teaching you the skill set that you need, spiritual and social skills that you need in today's age to get into a relationship that lasts. You can get into a relationship, but you want to stay in a relationship. You want to be married forever until, I guess, death do us part. You want to have that skill set, because it's easier to get into a relationship than it is to stay in one. So you think right now, if you're challenged with getting dates, just think about what it's going to be like to keep those dates going that leads to a commitment. And I want to teach you that skill set that you need so that you can have a beautiful, peaceful, harmonious relationship that leads to an amazing life that you came here to live. So check out the link in the box below, and make sure you hurry and look at that, because enrollment's going to come to a close, and you're going to miss out on an opportunity. So this is calling to your heart. Make sure you follow that, and step out of your comfort zone and take some risks, because that's where all the magic is, and that's where your man is. He's out of your comfort zone. So ladies, thank you so much for being here. It's always wonderful to connect with you in this way, and I'm just sending you all so much love. Bye.